Hello world, it's Kurtis Potter with Boundless Inspiration. Today I wanted to talk to you about a topic that I thought about that just really got my mind going. And it's that if you stop growing, you start dying. The moment you stop growing, you actually start dying. And you're like, well, what do you mean? Well, I want you to think about, for instance, I was doing some work on a vehicle. I'm taking panels off of the car, and I was finding all these spider webs inside, right? And all these nests and these eggs, these spider eggs. And I was cleaning them off because I was like, man, I don't want to have this vehicle and all of a sudden all these spiders are hatching and they're just infested inside this thing. Thousands of spiders in this vehicle. And I was just sitting there thinking about it. And if you look at spiders, it's like they're always laying eggs. They're always reproducing, and then they die. You know, I saw a bunny in my yard, and it had baby bunnies chasing it. And I'm like, you know what, bunnies, they're always reproducing and growing until they die. And then I looked in my garden, and there's a tomato. And I found out that tomatoes are continuing to grow until the point where they stop growing and then they actually start dying from that moment. You know, and I thought about it on when it comes to humans. See, we're always growing until the point where we just decide to stop growing. And then at that point, we're just living to die. I was at the gym and I was talking to this old timer. I'm not going to put an age on that, but it was just older than I. And you know, when I was doing, you know, weights, trying to get gains physically, and you know, a lot of times I just speak with some older folks. I love to learn, and you know, the guy was just saying, I don't do that anymore. I'm just here more for my health. You know, I'm no longer trying to break down and build my body. I'm just trying to keep myself healthy, to keep myself alive. And, you know, I just thought about that and I was like, man, you know what? Like, yeah, that makes sense. And, you know, I saw some videos of like some 76-year-olds. There's a guy, I think he's 76, and he has like one of the most insane physically fit bodies as well. So I was like, you know, even that's a choice. But, you know, it was also just a kind of a mentality that I'm just, you know, it's great that he's trying to improve his physical health to stay healthy and live longer and not have to be into the doctor's office and getting medicine. Instead, he's worrying about what he eats and his physical shape and keeping his heart healthy and so forth. So that's amazing. But then I thought about it a little bit more, and there's a guy that I know, and he's like 4 months out of retirement. And man, there's some things that he does, and we've talked about this, where, you know, he's just set in his ways. And I have that inventor mentality where I'm, you know, not trying to think that my way's the best by any means. But if I'm doing something and it's kind of hard to do, just the way my brain is wired, it's like I'm trying to find an easier way to do certain things. So it's not exactly like create a new system, just try to improve the one I'm doing a little bit better. Like, how can I make this a little bit more efficient? I started having that mentality. I realized when in 2007, I got in a real bad accident and almost broke my back and my neck. I mean, it was bad, and it got to where my back was really restricted, and I was forced to think smarter instead of working harder, right? So now I take that mentality, even though I've single-handedly, like, well, and also with the grace of God, I've almost fixed my back by strengthening my core. I still have that mentality of working smarter, not harder, and trying to improve stuff. And when I was talking to this buddy, and you know, he was doing something, I'm like, hey man, what if we do it like this? And it was I had been taught an easier way than how he was doing something. And he's like, man, that's just how I've always done it. That's what he says a lot. That's just how I've always done it. And I'll joke with him. I'll be like, man, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, right? And he'll be like, roof, you know? And it's just this little joke that we have. But I thought about it, and he's been set in his ways, you could tell, for probably 20 years. This is just how I was taught back in the day. I've been doing this my whole life. Can't teach an old dog new tricks. I'm set in my ways. I think I even heard him say, well, why change now? I'm going to be retired in 4 months. And I was just like, man, you're just living in the same mentality until you die. And just like that tomato, yeah, you're not, maybe he's not just necessarily dying, but in a way you are, because every single day you're closer to death. And you know what? For some people, they're not really interested in that gym. But it's like, you know what? Even that, if you're I love my father. I love him. But I've tried to talk him into, hey, Dad, what if I just came over every so often and we just go on a walk? And he grumbles, I'm not interested in even walking. At first I was trying to talk him into going to the gym with me, because it's where I was going was right across the street from his house. I mean, literally not even 200 yards away from his house. Dad, come over to LA Fitness with me. Let's get him back in shape. I know he's got health issues. I'm not interested. So let's start just walking, Dad. Just walk with me. It'll be a time where we get some time together. We can just talk. We can grow. We can get your health right. Then Helena, your wife, maybe she'll start walking with us. We'll get both of you a little bit healthier, put some years on your life, get you in a little bit better shape. Wasn't interested. And you know what it is? But it's like, when you're growing, it's not all just about your physique. Because see, your mind, it's the same way. Regardless of your body, but if your mind is not continuing to grow, then at that point, it's just living to die as well. So when your brain's not growing, it starts to die day by day by day. And it's like, what is it on the inside that still needs to grow to become the best version of yourself? If you're choosing to resist the physical part of it, are you still choosing not to grow your mentality? Are you in that you can't teach an old dog new tricks things? And you know what? I'm 35, and I realized that there were times in my life, when I'm 30 and 25, where I was like, I'm just set in my ways, taking a stand, my pride, my ego. I'm not growing. For what? You know what? When I started opening my mind to how others thought, now I love talking with people. And for a long time, I've loved hanging out with older people, because it was like, that's when I learned. When you get around people that are more experienced, and you know what? Sometimes experience don't come with age. There's a lot of these younger folks who can teach you the new ways, because technology has advanced. So I've been around people that were, 15 years older than me, like my buddy, and I'm trying to teach him something, and he's like, rah, 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 I've been doing this my whole life. And I'm like, okay, but I can show you a technique that is going to save you tons of time and energy. I was working with a guy, and we were pressure washing this massive, it was a propane tank. It was like thousands of gallons, and they had hired me to do this. And this guy, and he's using this old way of doing it. We're filling up these things, and we're pumping up these spray tanks, that you can like put weed killer and stuff. So we're spraying this massive, it's one of those big ones you see on the side of the road that they fill semis with. I think it's like a 50,000 gallon tank. We're spraying it off, and I was like, man, have you ever used this chemical? He's like, no, we've always been using this. I was like, I understand that, man, but it just so happens that my best friend owns a pressure washing company, and I've worked for him for a long time now. And, he's in the industry of pressure washing, and he uses this chemical, and it would cut our time down, dramatically. Like, this would take us at least a quarter of the time. Like, something that took us 10 hours to do. I'm like, dude, we could easily do this in an hour and a half. And he's like, no, blah, blah, blah. Again, just grumbling, getting mad. Because I was trying to teach him a better system in a better way. Not just me thinking it's better. It's a tangible better. It's something that I can prove that cuts down time, labor, even the cost of the chemical. And not only that, we're having to get up on tall ladders. And at some points, I was even standing on OSHA, don't listen to this one, but I'm standing on the top of a ladder trying to spray the top of this thing. Like, I was putting myself in danger because of an old way of doing things, and a person that hired me to do the job and was wanting to work beside me instead of just let me do my thing in my way. He was forcing me to do it his way and paying me the rate we agreed upon to do it his way. So at the end of it, I'm like, you know what, dummy? If you want to pay me all this money when you didn't have to, so be it. But really, I wanted to say, hey, pay me that same amount of money. Like, next time I do this, pay me that same amount of money. And then you just go, go have you a beer or something. Go to a restaurant and eat. By the time you get back, I'll be done. You can hand me that same money and I could go on with my day and enjoy that much more of my life and get paid the same amount of money. So my question to you is, like, are you so set in your ways a lot of times because it's, you don't look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, I'm being so damn prideful. I'm being so damn egotistical because I just feel my way is better. At times, it's the easiest to do that around people you are around the most. Sometimes it was with my wife and I when we'd be like, she'd be like, hey, why don't you do this? I'm like, well, why don't you do that? Sometimes our pride and ego can get the biggest when we're around the people we're around the most. Whereas if my wife and I, if we would have worked on our communication earlier, then we could have communicated it like, hey, babe. And I remember this because there was something when I was backing up a trailer. And I'm trying to tell her, like, hey, let me know where to go from way back there. It's a long trailer, and you're the one watching. And she's just sitting back there, looking around. And she got real frustrated. She's like, see, I don't even want to help you back up a trailer because you're just trying to tell me to do it your way. And I'm like, babe. Eventually I got to where I was like, hey, look, this is how I was just taught to back up trailers to make it easier. Instead of backing up, nope, go back forward, try it again, go back forward and try it again. I'm like, hey, if you're just back there and you're like this a little bit, doing this, come back this way means stray this way. I'm watching you, and yeah, I'm watching the trailer, but that thing is it was a long trailer, and I'm like, even though I could see in the mirror, I don't exactly know if I've got 3 feet before I hit that tree or 6 inches, from that distance, it's hard to see. I don't have a backup camera on the back of our camper. And see, the thing is sometimes whenever somebody else is trying to help us learn something, but we have up a wall or a barrier, our pride, our ego, taking it as an attack, being set in our ways, that's when we're not growing. And it's like, what is this serving you? Are you that tomato that's already dying? Are you that old dog that's not trying to learn new tricks that could benefit you greatly in life? Think about it. There's going to be a point where that guy, he may go ahead and do it for himself sometime. He may get in a financial pinch where he doesn't want to hire me to do that. And he's like, you know what? I'm struggling financially and I still got to do this because I clean this every so often. I'm just going to do it for myself. See, at that point, he's going to have to spend that 8-10 hours to clean that. Whereas if he would just allowed me to show him the process and how much faster it'd be, that'd save many, many hours and dollars for the remainder of his life. And see, time is priceless. I've just lost 2 people that I had to go to funerals. I was just speaking to some of my family that went to a funeral yesterday. Those people, I guarantee you they wish they just had a couple more hours. Man, if I would have learned how to do this better and be more efficient, it could have gave me more time to spend with my family. It could have gave me more time to work on my dreams and goals. It could have gave me more time to spend on my habits. It could have gave me more time to spend with my kids. See, it's not all about the gym, but hey, you know what? It could have gave me more time to be at the gym. It could have gave me more time to read books. I don't know what it is that it could have gave you more time, but I just invite you to think about, man, what have I been resisting? You know, is it with your spouse? Is your kids trying to teach you something? Are they trying to communicate with you and saying, but Mom, what about this? No, do it my way. Do as I say, not as I do. Sometimes we got to realize that all of the old ways of doing things aren't necessarily the best. And for me, I'm forever grateful for the day that I made the decision that I'm going to grow until I die. Not until I start dying, but for me, I'm one of those types of people where I try to learn something new every single day. And I try to become a better version of myself than I was yesterday. Not a competition if I'm better than you, I'm better than you. No. I want to be better than me, who I was yesterday. And you know, a matter of fact, if I can become a better version of myself by noon and just win the rest of this day, then that's a win for me. If I can learn something and grow and become more efficient just for the rest of my day, that adds value to my life, adds time to my life, and gives me some of my life back, my freedom back, my time freedom, my mentality. Whenever I was stuck in my head, my pride and my ego hit my head against the wall, that wasn't serving me. Today, I just ask you, are there areas in your life where for some reason you've been resisting to grow? You know what? I resisted going to counseling for a long time, but every counseling session I have and I grow, and I'm like, man, I'm so grateful for your wisdom and your knowledge. Every time my counselor thanks me for counseling, I said, no, thank you. Thank you for the time that you invested to go to college and learn and get that degree and then start your own business and then accept me as a client and then put your time into me. Time is valuable, and I just thank you for that hour that you put into me that helped me grow, that I'm going to pass down and teach my children. And this is about generational. This isn't just about me. This is about the people that I speak to on these videos that I'm going to be writing in my book that's going to touch lives, that's going to go way past me. When I'm 6 feet deep, that's what about this growing is. It's not even just about me. It's about all the people that it affects. Everybody that walks into my life is going to benefit from the time when I put down that wall and I decided to keep growing, not only just today, tomorrow, but for the rest of my life. You look at our grandparents and they, man, wisdom, right? That comes with time and that continual growth. And being in those environments, there's things that I can teach you on these videos because it's situations that you've not been into. And if you open your mind to listening to what people have to say, sometimes you'll be like, man, I can't tell you how many times, especially in the construction industry, where somebody taught me something. I mean, it was just like 2 months ago, I remember this guy taught me something and I was like, I wish I would have known that for the last 10 years. I've been in construction since 2005. Man, I don't even want to talk about time. Look at these wrinkles. But man, if I would have known that 10 years ago, Dude, that would have saved me so much time and effort. I remember I saw this video yesterday, this company that does fencing, and they don't quite have the finances to get the machine to pull all of the main poles out of the ground, but they still use a tire in a vehicle. I don't know if you've ever saw that, but if you put the strap on the bottom of a fence pole and you get an old tire and you put that strap over the tire and hook it to your vehicle, boop, pulling them all out of the ground. And I'm like, dude, you know how many times I've freaking dug all around that pole to be able to physically pull it out? Man, I just ripped up some fence at my house, and it took us a while, and I was like, dude, there were some of them was even so hard, I actually just hooked the strap to the truck and pulled it out, and one of them, it broke it off, bent it in half, then I still couldn't get no leverage and pull it up, and I was like, dude, I should have just got no tire. But you know what? I'll never do a fence like that again. Don't be that old dog, because it'll benefit you. When you open your mind to growth, don't stop dying like that tomato. We're meant for growth. We're meant to reproduce. We're meant to pass down our knowledge to other people, and other people are meant to pass their knowledge to us. Receive both ways. This is a circle, folks, and we're all growing together. We're all just getting this much closer every single day to being boundless. If this video helped you, please put in the comment section how some way you grew and you was like, you know what, give us some feedback. Let's hear some good testimonies of, man, I was taught this, just like that tire. Give me some instances where you was taught something that was boom, mind blown, like, what? I'm so glad that I was open-minded to learn that. Heck, if you're humble enough, tell me some times where you've been resisting, like, you know what, Kurtis, right now, I'm resisting reading books. Kurtis, you know what, right now I hear you going to counseling, and you know what, kudos, buddy, but you know what, I've been resisting it even though I know I got to go. Sometimes saying it out loud is the first step you got to take to being like, you know what, though, 2021, well, 2021, let's kill it. Let's go to counseling now. What's better? There's no better time than today. But you know what? 2022, that's going to be my New Year's resolution, going to counseling, because I want to grow. I'm tired of being stuck. I'm tired of having PTSD. I'm tired of having that pain, that guilt, that shame. I'm tired of being that stubborn husband or wife. I'm tired of being that stubborn parent, that stubborn manager at my job, that stubborn business owner. I was just talking to a buddy the other day about how businesses fail, and a lot of times it's because they're not willing to adapt because of their pride. I was reminding him of Blockbuster and how they allowed Redbox to single-handedly put them out of business. And now Redbox is slowly getting put out of business by all these digital platforms. And I was like, man, what if Blockbuster would have took all their inventory and invested in some machines like Redbox, and they would have had Blue Box and combated them. They was already a step ahead of the game, and they could have likely prevented the growth of Redbox because they were dominating the market at the time. And then now, you know, Redbox is slowly going downhill because of all these digital platforms. Well, what if Redbox uploaded all of their DVDs that they already own onto a platform, and now on TV we can go on that Roku, and instead of Hulu, Peacock, whatever you're watching, you can have Redbox digital, where for, 25 cents maybe, you can watch every single movie that they own. Because you know what? Sometimes I'll go through Netflix or Hulu or whatever. Well, really, I don't watch TV anymore, but we have that for my wife and my kids. They love watching TV and stuff. And I'm just like, man, what if it was on there? Because you know what? You get tired of scrolling through, like, come on, the first of the month where new movies come out. Man, imagine if Redbox, as soon as that hits, bam, that movie's out on Redbox, you could see it on your TV and watch it. All those new movies coming out is at your fingertips. Then the overhead could go down, and maybe they wouldn't, have to continue to build so many Redboxes to stay in business. Are we resisting growing because of our pride and our ego? I invite you to say, you know what, enough is enough. I'm ready to grow. I'm ready to be better than I was yesterday. And we're going to step closer every single day with Kurtis on becoming boundless. I hope this helped you all. I love you and have a great day.